Matriculants who are going to varsity this year and returning students face other challenges besides registration. One of these is accommodation. Students find themselves struggling to find proper accommodation closer to campuses, and even then affordability is a concern. According to the 2018 QS Best Student Cities survey, Johannesburg ranked 79th out of the 100 top cities to study in. This is up from its previous rank of 84th. Johannesburg achieved a particularly high score for affordability in the Best Student Cities Index, reflecting its fairly low tuition fees and living costs. Molefe Moate is a real estate agent at Lifelizabeth Properties, and he joins us now in our studio for more. Molefe, thank you so much for making the time. How hectic is real estate business in January due to student accommodation?
Thanks for bringing me as a guest, and I greet everyone at home. Look, the challenges, they vary, right? They depend. Look, most of the challenge is there's a lot of influx that is coming in, and we cannot be able to accommodate most of the students, obviously due to various challenges. But yeah, the biggest problem that we're experiencing, especially in the past week, is there's a lot of influx coming in, and we are not able to give everyone what they're looking for. Yeah. Other challenges as well is meeting the demands of your target clients, which are the students. You know, some wants this, some wants that, and we'll not be able to cater for everyone. But at minimum, we are trying our level best. But that's the biggest challenge: number of people versus what we have. What should
first-year students looking for accommodation be looking for?
Look, one of the things that I always advise is that look, it's first come, first serve. That one, they must put it in their head. So at minimum, you plan your trip. If you know in tomorrow that you're going to look for accommodation, make sure that you plan your trip, you do a minimum research. Normally, there's several documents that are needed in order for someone to initiate an application process for accommodation. For example, I mean, like your 3 months bank statement for credit check, copy of an ID, you know, latest pay slip, especially from the parents.
Would this be the student's documents or the parents' documents?
It is the payer's documents.
Okay.
So it depends. If the payers, normally they are parent majority, so we'll request that so that we can do a credit check, check viability of affordability, so that we can approve the application.
You're talking about preparing the trip the day before.
The day before.
But shouldn't these processes be handled towards the end of the previous year, perhaps? Isn't it better to do it that way?
Look, I've got several houses that have got at least 60% full from last year. So normally second years, they are now switched on. So they know which places they want to go to. So around November and December, that's when they'll say, I want to go to that house. So immediately when they know it's reshuffling time or a window period, they'll start coming and say, look, I want to reserve this room. Is this room available or not, you know? And also referrals as well. Because what happens with students is they visit each other. So as they visit different accommodations or res, then they realize their taste. So by the window period, immediately when they, after exams, they start going and say, look, I want to reserve this place. Is it available? Then we check on our list, because normally as agents, we will give a notice to the tenants around November. Those who want to renew for next year, they must fill up a certain form. Those who want to go, they must. So that now we start checking our spreadsheet in terms of available rooms or not. So when someone comes around November, already know that who are they going, who are they not going, so that they can start the application. So normally people will spend the 31st celebrating knowing that everything is secured. Those are normally the second years. But now the biggest concern is first years, because they don't know most of the things. They come here, they don't know anything. You know?
And you also have two types of first years: the ones who live around here but just choose to be at res, and the ones who are out of the province and really need help. What extra assistance do you give?
Look, that's why we normally, as well, myself, where I work, it's more of, that's why we do an application. So we look at as well the distance. There's certain criteria that we apply in order to give at least priority or preference, you understand? Because sometimes you'll find someone is coming from Guyana, understand? He's on an application for a certain room. Someone is coming from Soweto on the same application for that room. So obviously we'll sit down and tell the management, look, I mean, this student comes from far.
The circumstances are different.
Exactly, you know, can we at least try to prioritize this one, unless if the application is unsuccessful, and that's when we can take the one that is closer. But in priority-wise, there's certain criteria that we use. It's not only distance. There's a lot of things that we check so that we can see how best we can help the students. But yeah, when coming to closer and far, we normally prioritize far. Because first of all, you find that at university, they're still struggling, maybe trying to resolve some few things. It's going to take about 2 days or 3 days. So if they come from far and they're prepared, We do credit check quickly. If they're willing to move in immediately, we prorata them on that, and then they move in so that they can go to school and sort out things, because they can't travel. Unlike someone who's closer, who can come tomorrow and be able to sort out the issues at school.
We were talking about local and traveling students in terms of one's coming from Joburg and one's coming from different provinces, but you also have students coming from another country.
International students,
yes.
Look, this week I was handling one potential tenant coming from Swaziland. We're doing it remotely over social, like WhatsApp calls, and trying telephonic as well. So what normally happens is there are also international students. Actually, they're more prompt in terms of they're the one that are active more than the local one.
Is that so?
Yeah, normally we get them because they know they're going far, so they start preparing early. So normally the international students, that's why when coming to January, things are already sorted, because there's a lot of documents they need to apply for. There's permits, study permits. There's a lot of permits that they have to do. So their parents, obviously, it's a pre-trip inspection, this thing for them. So they plan ahead. So normally international students get everything, all documents in the right place, and they get the space at the right time because they prepare earlier, unlike local.
There's a conversation that says that student accommodation has become so commercialized that it's too inaccessible and it's very expensive. Well, what has been your experience?
Look, I'll give you an example, right? We as estate agents as well, we're not really connected. And yes, there is regulation that is governing us, but it's not that stringent to such an extent that when coming to inflating the rental amount,
prices.
The rental amount. I mean, you'll find that at some point, the reason why we can accommodate a lot, our biggest model of the business is to make sure that students get an affordable accommodation. So normally they'll start getting full from our company first as a real estate agent, and from there we start referring them. And it's difficult. That's why our houses get full earlier, because one of the gap in the market that we have realized to initiate the business was that other estate agents, they inflate the price higher than what affordability can be. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, you'll find that rent can go up with about 1,000. You understand? I mean, it can be more than 10%.
Which is ridiculous when you think of there's also school fees to be paid and that.
Exactly. And on top of it, there's also underlying issues, excluding electricity. Those are the things that I normally advise people. Make sure that you check your contract. At minimum, know that there's no nitty-gritties behind. You understand? Because most of the estate agents as well, they have like a legal team in their companies, whereby if maybe someone paid on the due date, it's on the 1st, for example, someone paid electronically, EFT is not reflected yet. So the system will generate a fine automatically, where else is going to now become an argument. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a student myself as well at UJ. I've been under an estate agent, and I still have my letter from tribunal regarding that estate agent right now, but nothing has been solved.
Yeah.
But now I'm in the other side, so that's why I'm saying we saw the gap
You've
in
seen
the market.
both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That, look, we need to solve this.
Are you finding that you have to work a lot to get this business, or is it automatic business because students are coming to study anyway?
No. It's not an automatic business. First of all, I mean, you get a lot of frustrated students, right? Someone will do an application today, after 3 days doesn't want it. Normally, I think there should be a platform whereby, as real estate agents, there should be a platform with universities where we meet at least once a year, where we say, what is the strategy for next year? What is the way forward?
There isn't that sort of conversation yet?
At the moment, I haven't been in one of, not that I know, but at the moment, I've never been invited to such thing, you understand?
Yeah.
There's always a relationship, obviously, in terms of maybe NSFAS accreditation as well. There is platforms and offices where they engage with property owners and real estate agents. I mean, there is no platform whereby we can tell them our concerns, a real estate agent, that, look, number one, if you're going to answer students after 4 days around, I mean, right now as I'm speaking to you, there are students that say, can I book a room? But I'm not sure if I'm going to university. You understand?
I know.
So they must synchronize the need of accommodation with their processes. So at least,
do you have students whose bursaries cover their accommodation as well? Does that make it easier for you?
Look, bursaries vary, right? At the moment, I mean, we include NSFAS as part of bursary, basket, right? So you'll find like the private companies, for example, like the mining sectors, maybe the logistics sectors, electrification sectors, whereby they will offer student bursaries. They can pay into the accommodation account. Because accreditation is very important, and I always tell people that make sure that the commune or the residence that you're applying for, if you're using NSFAS, make sure that is it accredited or not. Because some people, they apply where it's not accredited. Later on, NEFSAs approve because they're not synchronized with the need of accommodation.
Yeah.
Then the person want to
So you still have to pay yourself,
exactly.
and then NSFAS pays
and you're
later.
accountable for that lease that you've signed for where that accommodation is not accredited. So it's one of the challenges that people must make sure that always inquire. If you know that there's an application standing, normally we'll request, who's your sponsor? My sponsor is this person, give me that letter and the contact details. So I will call and say, look, want to offer your student accommodation, this is where we are, this is the house where he is, this is what we have. What is your needs and expectations, and how can you pay us?
What do you do in a situation where a student is desperate and their documents have not been finalized, but there's hope, but they absolutely do not have accommodation?
Look, business ethics, that's where it plays a big role there, hey? Because remember, at the end of the day, there's business viability, you know. At the very same time, you need to follow your business ethics as well, and there's emotions involved. Look, in that case, we look at the parameters, obviously. First of all, we look at, okay, how long can we get the documents, number one?
Yeah.
We see you're in need of accommodation. You're not alone. Trust me, I've been a student before. I went to school whereby I only came with a bag. But when I went to the student center, I found
and you can see the student is credible.
It's no,
they're not taking chances, but their stuff is just not being concluded.
Hence, I'm saying we normally will ask them, how long can it take you to give us the documents? You understand? For example, normally people look for accommodation with parents, right? Yeah. Some of the things will be on email and say,
those
okay,
who are lucky to have supportive parents.
Yeah. Show me on the email, show me on your phone or something. Sometimes we'll say, okay, give us your parents' call numbers. Then we call the parent and say, look, we have your student.
So you can make arrangements with parents.
You can make arrangement with parents.
But you get those students who are on their own. They want an education. There's no support structure. They've applied for the bursaries. Promises are there. You hardly ever get those situations.
Look, there's no way you're on your own. If you're on your own, there's always something. I mean, at the end of the day, for you to take a taxi to come here, there's something. We want that something. What is it? That's something that you have, so that we can check how can we accommodate you. Number one, most people will have a letter of acceptance at university on them. They are on their own, but they have the letter. That's what we need. We don't need people. We need documents. We need validation. So they will have a letter maybe to university, they'll have a letter of the bursary, they'll have a letter maybe from NEFSAS or something. There's always something that leads you to your journey. That's what we need. We take that information, then we check.
Take us through the different types of accommodation for students.
Look, there is accommodation inside the university that is built by university that most people know.
That you manage as a...
No. Inside the university.
So it's totally run by the varsity.
University will have their own a portfolio of accommodation properties where they handle certain amount of students.
Okay,
and
so yours is separate.
No, it's off campus.
Okay,
so they call it off campus. Yeah,
we need to make that difference.
Yeah. There is the one that is the rest from the university on campus accommodation, and there's off campus accommodation. Yeah, and on off campus there is accredited off campus accommodation and not accredited. When we're saying accredited off-campus accommodation,
how does a student navigate these differences?
Normally, look, the last time I checked, when you go, for example, at NEFSA's offices or at SRC, or there is an office normally at each university of campus accreditation accommodation. So they'll have a list, even online. Sometimes they put them online. Yeah. So you say, maybe, for example, VETS or UJ offline accredited accommodation, you'll have a list. So it will show you, okay, which accommodations are accredited, meaning in terms of NEFSAs. Yeah. So that if you go there, they can be able to pay.
Which type is Lifelizabeth project?
Okay, so basically we real estate agent, right? And it's a company that
So you're purely business?
We're purely business. We're purely business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we deal with property, and we saw the need in the space to start where accommodation was one of the things that it's lacking. Yeah. And as well, the growing fiscus of accommodation. Look, first of all, there is a demand of free education. So obviously, there's going to be more influx of students. So the need for development is going to be there. The need to accommodate students is going to be there. Hence, I'm saying I come from this very same route they are going. I've struggled to get accommodation, so I know what exactly they are going through. Yeah. So obviously, based on our experience and what is existing economically, we build a model that can cater that. But we're strictly real estate agent, like every other real estate agent, rental, sales, and management.
Molefe Moate, a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a break.